This is TWiT.
All right, picture this. You are in the midst of an exam, your AP test. You're taking it from home because we are in our shelter-in-place and social distancing era, and you are writing out the answer to a long-form question. The timer is counting down. You snap a photo of your answer and upload it to the server. You upload it in the test-taking application, and the test-taking application tells you that you did not submit your answer in time and you have failed your test. That sounds like an utter nightmare, and it is exactly the nightmare that students are experiencing. We have Mikah Chin from The Verge here to tell us all about it. Welcome back, Mikah.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Yeah, we are happy to have you here and happy to have you tell us about this. So, I mean, you know, that's the basics. For some reason, and you'll explain this, when a student or multiple students are taking photos of their answers and uploading them, it's not working. So I think the thing that surprised me was this test-taking method that involved writing out answers. So can you talk about that first? How is it that why are they taking photos of their answers, and what's going on there?
Yeah, so a lot of the there's all these different tests. There's like physics, there's AP Lit, there's math, all these different types of things where sometimes you have to, for example, solve a physics problem, and you could type the answer out, or type your work out, but a lot of these kids are used to doing this stuff by hand. In school, they're used to writing in notebooks. They're used to take, if they have the option to, and a lot of these cases they do have the option to instead just write out your work or write out your answer and submit a photo of it. That's going to be easier for them. So
Gotcha.
On a lot of these tests, they have the option to either submit, they have the option to type out an answer, or they have the option to handwrite and submit a photo. And that's just the easier thing for a lot of them to do.
Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. I can remember taking some AP tests where typing out some math would be kind of difficult. And like you said,
right.
If you leading up to this, your test prep involved a lot of handwriting, then it would make sense. So they go to upload the file, and then they learn that their answer was not submitted in time. What's going on?
Yeah, so the issue, obviously there are a lot of different reasons why someone might not be able to submit a test. We've heard about people's Wi-Fi cutting out. We've heard about some potential browser issues. But certainly one of the big reasons that a lot of kids haven't been able to submit these answers is image formats. So this testing portal that they're using only takes a couple formats. It takes JPEGs, it takes PNGs, it takes PDFs. But it doesn't take what's called an HEIC file. And that is the default format that photos are saved in when you take a photo with an iPhone or an iPad. It's also a format that some Samsung phones support. It's not just iPhones, but iPhones are the majority of the phones that we're talking about. This information was out there, and some students clearly got it, but some students didn't get it. And, I think with any, technical thing that you have to do, there's always going to be a large number of students who, don't get the info or don't understand the info. Mm-hmm. So in this case, we had some students who just tried straight up to upload photos from their iPhones to the testing portal and then didn't know why they didn't go through. We had some students who knew that they couldn't submit HEIC photos, but didn't know how to convert them, and so they tried different things. I talked to a number of students who said, "Oh yeah, I just changed the file's name from .jpeg to from .heic to .jpeg, and I thought that had converted the file." And then when they tried to submit those, they found that they couldn't. We talked to one student who tried to use Windows Photo to convert a photo from his iPhone, and then that didn't end up working, and it took too long, and he wasn't able to submit. So we had students trying a bunch of different things. And it turns out what you actually have to do is you have to go into your phone settings and you have to change the way that the photos are saved from .heic to .jpeg on the phone itself, or you have to send the photo to yourself through Apple's Mail app and it converts the file automatically. But there are a lot of students who didn't get that message, and so that's what we were looking into.
Yeah, it not only didn't get that message, but it seemed like from what you wrote about that, like this was a message that kind of went out on Twitter, and I don't know in what other capacity they were really kind of pushing that message out there. But when you're looking at the amount of students who have iPhones, at least here in the U.S., it's a pretty large percentage when compared to other OEMs. I mean, how much emphasis or blame could be placed on the folks who created this system for not supporting that file format? Like, I understand the iPhones, added this a couple of years ago. There is a way to revert it, but there are a lot of places that this file format is kind of not supported. For instance, if you send an email with an image from your iPhone, it automatically converts from HEIC to a more compatible file format. So there's awareness that this file format needs to, it isn't going to work in every capacity. How much of that responsibility falls on them that they didn't support that, knowing those elements?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to just put blame on one institution or one group, because I think there's more that everyone could be doing. It does seem like the College Board, there are instructions for what you're supposed to do on the College Board's, coronavirus FAQ website. They have been disseminated in some emails and in a series of tweets. But there are clearly still students who didn't get the message. We talked to a lot of students who said, well, I never got this email that the College Board says they sent out, or, I don't have Twitter, so I didn't see these tweets. The tweet that they put out that morning didn't come out in time for me to, in time for my testing slot. Is that the college, certainly probably some of the blame falls on the College Board. You would hope that, they can get the message out to everyone. Is there some responsibility of schools too? Are schools doing as much as they can to make sure that students are getting all these communications from the College Board? That's also probably, a place where we would hope we would see more. Should students be looking harder for this information, and making sure that they have all the information? Definitely, I think it's an unprecedented situation. You hear that kind of that rhetoric a lot, and I think this is a system that the College Board is trying for the first time. So I do think and that schools are trying for the first time. So I do think it's great that, that they have made as much of an effort as they have to get this information out there. But it definitely does seem like there are some students who are being missed. In terms of the technology specifically, the HEIC format is still very sort of difficult to use on a lot of platforms. Slack, for example, has a lot of trouble with HEIC photos as well. It's still sort of, it's a format that's great for iPhone users because it's a smaller format. That's sort of the big advantage of it. It's more efficient. So you can fit like a lot more photos on an iPhone than you could if they were saved as JPEGs. But there are definitely still, a lot of compatibility issues, even with bigger services like Slack. Is there, I think it would be nice if the College Board could find a way to take HEIC files. It would also be nice if they made it easier for students to get the information for how to fix the problem themselves. I think either would probably be reasonable.
Yeah, an interstitial at the beginning of the test that says, if you've got an iPhone, do not proceed until you follow these steps would be great. That, at the very least, seems to be a way to handle this if they can't update their system to support the upload of HEIC files. My one question for you, are students, when I took AP exams, I came from a low-income household, and so I qualified for a less expensive form of the AP exam, or less expensive fee for the AP exam. And so that had me thinking about the cost of AP exams for both even still with that discount, it was expensive, and without the discount, it was expensive. Are students going to be able to retake the test for free? Are they only going to have to retake this portion? Are they going to have to retake the whole thing? What has the AP board said, or the College Board rather said, about sort of fixing this mistake going forward?
Yeah, so the nice thing is going forward, the College Board has put out a new system where if you're not able to retake your test at the end, if you're not able to submit your answers, there will be an option where you can email them instead. So they're going to provide you with a unique email address that you'll be able to use, and you'll get a notification at the end of the test on the screen that says like you couldn't submit your answers. So that's good, and that I hope that'll be helpful for students who are taking them in the next few weeks. That unfortunately doesn't it can't be retroactively used for students who in the past already took the test and weren't able to submit. And that's still a big concern for a lot of students. We heard from some students who said, that the retake won't work for their schedules because, they're going to have a job or they're going to be going off to the military. And, there are some students who just don't want to have to sit through and retake the whole thing. They don't want to have to keep studying. They were just hoping to be done. And so, it's an unfortunate situation for sure, but there are still a lot of students. There's still a petition going around actually, where students are saying, the College Board needs to let us resubmit answers that we wrote for the first test if they're timestamped and all that kind of thing. But it doesn't seem at this time like, at least the College Board hasn't announced they're going to be doing anything like that now. So it seems like for the time being, we are going to see a lot of these students having to retake. And the hope will be that that there's by that time, there's been more of that information disseminated about what they need to do to fix their file formats so that it can go more smoothly.